This is Love Coach headquarters.
The kingdom of Avanti flourished under the rule of King Udayana, a warrior as fierce in battle as he was gentle in art. He was no ordinary king. His name struck fear into his enemies, yet his touch could tame even the wildest of beasts. His Veena, Gosavari, was legendary, its melody so enchanting that even untamed elephants surrendered to its tune. His court adored him, and his queen, Vasavadatta, stood by his side, not just as his wife, but as his trusted counsel. Yet fate had written a tale of love, deception, and sacrifice in his destiny. Far away in the kingdom of Kosala, King Pradyota watched Avanti's power grow, and with it, his own unease. A kingdom as mighty as Udayana's was a threat, and war was not an option. Instead, he wove a different kind of trap, one spun not with swords, but with beauty, wit, and deception. His own daughter, Princess Ratnavali, as radiant as the moon and as sharp as a blade, was sent to Avanti, not as royalty, but as a mere servant. She entered Udayana's palace in silence, hiding her lineage beneath simple garments. No crown adorned her head, no jewels decorated her hands. She was but a shadow in the grand halls of Avanti, waiting, watching. But love does not wait for schemes to unfold. It follows its own path. One evening, as Udayana played his Veena, a voice broke the stillness. "Your Majesty, music is not only sound, it is the echo of the soul." The king paused. No courtier had spoken, nor any noble. His gaze fell upon the young woman standing among the servants, her eyes reflecting wisdom beyond her place. "And what would a mere servant know of the soul?" he asked, intrigued. "Only that a king's melody should hold more than power. It should hold longing, love, and sorrow, for even music bows before the heart." That night, Udayana's thoughts lingered on the girl who spoke of music as though she had lived 100 lifetimes within it. Days passed, and he sought her presence more often. Ratnavali was unlike anyone he had known, clever, graceful, and with a mind as sharp as any strategist. They talked of poetry, of war, of destiny. Slowly, an affection grew between them, silent, forbidden, undeniable. But the walls of a palace have ears, and whispers soon reached Queen Vasavadatta. Veena was not just a musical instrument, but a magic, known far and wide through the name of Udayan, its player. As sharp as the edge of his sword was, the melodies of his Veena were equally soft. On the other hand, Vasavadatta, a princess who mesmerized everyone with her beauty and intelligence. Both lived in different worlds, but the strings of destiny were silently preparing to bind them together. Udayan's minister, Yagandarayana, devised a plan. If Udayan and Vasavadatta were united, it would not only be the beginning of love, but also a new era of power. But Vasavadatta's father, the mighty king, considered Udayan his greatest enemy. One day, under the pretense of a hunt, Udayan was lured into the borders of Vasavadatta's kingdom, where soldiers were already lying in wait. Despite being unmatched in swordsmanship, Udayan was captured. In the palace prison, one thing stirred King Udayan's heart: Vasavadatta. She was seeing Udayan for the first time, steadfast even in bondage, a mystery in his eyes and a smile on his lips. The melodies of Udayan's Veena were drawing her towards him. "Who's there?" Udayan's voice startled Vasavadatta. I... Her words were incomplete, like an unfinished poem. Udayan smiled. "Your words are incomplete, just like my melody. Will you complete it?" It was their first meeting, but the yearning in it felt like an eternity. But like every love story, there was an obstacle here too: Commander Bhanusen. Seeing the growing attraction between Vasavadatta and Udayan, he was alarmed. If the king found out that his daughter had fallen in love with the enemy, it could lead to devastation. Vasavadatta's confidant, Priyangu Manjari, had already sensed her restlessness. "You want to meet him, don't you?" Vasavadatta nodded with a faint smile. In the darkness of the night, when the palace was asleep, Priyangumanjari took Vasavadatta to Udayan. You? Udayan asked in surprise. Vasavadatta's heart was pounding. I don't know why, but I wanted to talk to you, to listen to you. That night they shared stories of their dreams, fears, and unspoken love. But Bhanusen's eyes were on them. When Vasavadatta realized this, she made a decision. We have to escape. In the stillness of the night, with Priyangumanjari's help, they fled the palace. Behind them echoed the hoofbeats of the soldiers' horses. A dense forest, darkness, and danger everywhere. A deep gorge lay ahead, but Udayan found a hidden path. What if we get caught? Vasavadatta asked softly. I will never lose you, Udayan said firmly. Hiding in a cave, they had just begun to catch their breath when they heard the sound of horses outside. They're here! Fear filled Vasavadatta's eyes. Udayan's sword gleamed. Suddenly, a voice called out, Stop! The soldiers froze. In front of them stood the king himself. Father! Vasavadatta's voice trembled. The king spoke sternly. Is it true? You are running away with the enemy? With tears in her eyes, Vasavadatta replied, He is not an enemy. He is my life. Udayan bowed his head and said, My aim is not the kingdom, only your trust. Vasavadatta's love is my greatest victory. There was silence for a moment. Then the king took a deep breath and said, If this love is so unshakable, who can stop it? Bhanusen stood shocked. It appeared under the stars in the forest. Udayan and Vasavadatta's love became eternal, like the melody of that veena, which will resonate for centuries. The walls of a palace have ears, and whispers soon reached Queen Vasavadatta. She had loved Udayana with all her heart. She had stood by him through every battle, every triumph, every loss. And now she saw another woman capture the very gaze that once belonged to her alone. Have I become invisible to you? She asked him one evening, her voice trembling. Udayana could not answer, for he himself did not know when his heart had begun to drift. And then, the truth surfaced. Ratnavali was not a servant. She was a princess, a political pawn sent to control the king's heart. The court erupted in shock. Ministers called it treason. Advisors whispered of betrayal. And then came King Pradyota's message. Marry my daughter, and our kingdoms shall unite. Refuse, and Avanti will drown in war. The throne grew heavy beneath Udayana. He was a king, but he was also a man torn between love, duty, and honor. Vasavadatta knew the battle was lost, not on the battlefield, but in the heart of the man she had called her own. She stood tall, her sorrow hidden behind dignity. A queen does not beg, she whispered. If my departure is the price of peace, then so be it. And so she left, disappearing into an ashram, her love sacrificed for a kingdom that no longer held a place for her. Udayana married Ratnavali as fate had intended. Kosala and Avanti stood united, their borders no longer divided by war. But within the palace, within the heart of a king, something remained broken. Some say Vasavadatta found peace in the quiet of the ashram. Some say Udayana never truly played his veena again, for its melodies carried a sorrow too deep to be shared. And so, history remembers Udayana, not just as a mighty ruler, but as a man whose heart was both his kingdom and his battlefield. And the question remains, was this a love story, or was it love's greatest sacrifice?
Please like, share and subscribe with the love of your life.